Thank you for joining us and welcome to today's presentation regarding the Office for People with Developmental Disabilities, OPWDD's, qualification document for specialized IDD plans. The purpose of this presentation is to provide stakeholders with an overview of the qualification document that is now open for public comment. We've scheduled this opportunity for people to understand the document better, to assist with their review, and to help make meaningful comments during this comment period. We also want to make clear how this document fits into the larger timeline that was published in the IDD transition plan. The qualification document contains the standards for specialized plans, and it really is derived from and builds on the information in existing publications that are available on the OPWDD website and the Department of Health website. These include the June 2018 Managed Care Policy Paper issued by Commissioner Delaney, the IDD OPWDD 1115 Transition Waiver Application, and the 1115 Transition Plan. These documents can be accessed on the DOH website at the link available here. This current document, the qualification document, was posted on the DOH website on August 31st, 2018, and you'll see the link here on your screen. OPWDD will also be holding public forums in the coming months to discuss managed care generally. This document is specific and fairly technical, and we want to provide this opportunity so that people can understand how this fits into the larger work ahead. The purpose of today's presentation is to provide some context that will help stakeholders in the review of the qualification document. We hope to provide some clarity regarding the document structure and how this document relates to the overall timeline and steps that are described in the OPWDD 1115 Transition Plan. As discussed, the timeline for comments on the qualification document has been extended through October 17th, so this is an opportunity to help stakeholders participate in that review process. I think it's important to understand that when one is reviewing this document, what this document is and what this document is not. This document tells a potential applicant, in other words, an organization that wants to become a specialized IDD plan, it tells that organization what is different for a SIP-PL, for a specialized IDD plan, that is not the same as a mainstream managed care plan. It does not outline the operational requirements, in other words, the how-to, that a plan must engage in to deliver services and coordinate care for individuals with IDD. In keeping with the existing procedures in New York State for bringing on new managed care opportunities, this is a two-step process. The qualification document is just that first period and opportunity for comment. The policy document is that next step that defines what the plan will do, and that really relates more closely to the person's experience in the managed care plan. That document will be open for public comment in the first quarter of 2019, and that's really where we delve into the matters that are probably going to be of greatest interest to stakeholders who are interested in learning about the IDD specialized managed care opportunity. The other thing that's important for people to understand as they review the document is the intended audience. This document is issued as a start of a contract process for applicants that are interested in becoming a specialized IDD plan. But this document is very targeted to a particular group of entities that might be interested in applying, and those are entities that we're calling early adopters. If you look at the OPWDD transition plan that is already published, we defined early adopters as IDD-led organizations, so organizations that have a controlling interest by organizations with a history of delivering IDD services in New York State that first apply to be a mainstream managed care plan, which is your typical, what people think of as a health care plan in New York State. Those early adopters began probably almost a year ago, to apply to become a mainstream managed care plan. So those entities that are intent on becoming a specialized IDD plan, these early adopters, that first step is to become a managed care plan and need to meet those requirements. And then in addition, to become the specialized IDD plan, the next step will be responding to this application that describes what will be unique and different in order to make sure that these specialized IDD plans are well suited to meet the needs of the people who enroll. There's a lot of information in the document that will be of interest to stakeholders. One thing that people have asked a great deal about and will be helpful to understand is who can enroll in the IDD plan. So the real focus of, obviously, our specialized IDD plans is to well serve individuals in New York State who are eligible for OPWDD services. That includes individuals who are eligible and enrolled in our HCBS waiver, individuals living in ICS except for developmental center, and other Medicaid-enrolled individuals who are eligible for OPWDD services. It will include opportunities for individuals with Medicaid and Medicare, also called dual eligibles. Initially, it will not be available to people with third-party health insurance, but ultimately the objective is to make sure that folks with third-party can be enrolled in the SIP program, with the SIP being the specialized IDD plan. So third-party health insurance is a term that is frequently used for comprehensive health insurance that a family may have through its employer. As we delve into the document, the first section, section 1 and 2, provide the context for the release of this document. In other words, how this qualification document fits into the transition that is outlined in both the Commissioner's policy paper and the 1115 transition plan. I would direct stakeholders' review to the organizational capacity section on pages 19 and 22. This is where we discuss the requirements for the plan to be DD-led and the way that a plan must be organized to support the person's choice of care management, either through the plan or through a CCO. So this is an important concept. As folks know, a care coordination organization is the way that we are delivering care management now. For people who choose to enroll in the specialized IDD plan, they can continue to receive care management through their care coordination organization. I would also like to direct folks' attention to the personnel section starting on page 22. This is an example of how the qualification document describes what is unique and different for a specialized IDD plan. So, for example, all plans have medical directors. This plan, the specialized IDD plan, has to have a medical director with experience serving people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. We also have a position that is unique to the specialized IDD plan, and that is a dental coordinator. We've required that because we think it's very important, particularly for people who only receive insurance coverage through Medicaid, to have access to good dental care, and that can be a real challenge for individuals that we serve. As we continue on in the document, there are several sections here that we want to direct folks' attention to for their review. First of all, I want to point folks toward the 3.4 service delivery network requirements. Here's where we list what a plan must have in order to have a sufficient network. I do want to point out that although it is a requirement that there be 2 organizations per county providing a particular service, for example, 2 day habilitation programs, the plan will be required to meet the needs of enrollees and offer choice within their network. So that will mean that the network must be adequate to meet people's needs, which will probably far surpass at least 2. We also are aware that there are very specialized needs within our community, so we want to make sure that networks will be able to serve all people who choose to enroll, whether they be children or no matter what the diagnoses that a person has that qualifies them for OPWDD services. So, for example, a specialization for people with autism would absolutely be required within the network. We would very much appreciate people's comments to help us further develop those network standards. People should also be aware of the continuity of care section. That is a section that's described beginning on page 33, and we will follow all the rules outlined in current legislation regarding a person's ability to continue to access services and for providers to continue to be paid the existing Medicaid rate for a period of time. Any changes to a person's plan of care services are, of course, subject to due process requirements, including, if needed, fair hearing rights. Utilization management is another section that people will be very interested in, beginning on page 36. Utilization management is a technical term that describes the processes that plans must undertake to make certain that services are appropriate and that people are getting what they need. This document outlines the staffing requirements and the requirement to develop policies regarding, for example, discharge planning to make certain that that very important transition happens well for people who enroll in the plan. It also includes requirements for utilization management protocols for self-direction, which will provide continuity for individuals in fee-for-service. In other words, the access and the ability to self-direct services would be the same whether a person chooses to enroll in the plan and participate in managed care or whether they are in fee-for-service. We also want to direct people to the clinical management section. This is where we outline the requirements for the plan to develop policies that will promote better health care and access to clinical services for the people we serve. Clinicians in the field and stakeholders, we very much welcome your input. This is an important quality tool to make sure people are getting the supports that they need. As we move through the document, the next section that I do want to point people's attention to is quality management, beginning on page 44. There are requirements there for an IDD quality management subcommittee that will serve as an advisory body for the board and includes individuals and family members. The work of the Quality Management Committee will be very important and is really one of the major ways that we look to develop and inform our system's move toward value-based payments to make sure that as we move forward, we're getting the flexibility needed for our system in a way that is promoting quality and the services that families and individuals want. The reserve requirements on page 50 are also different, and they reflect that people with IDD have lifelong services, and we are not expecting that there would be tremendous risk for a provider related to the HCBS service because we are following a very lengthy process of retaining the people's current services and payment rates as we move toward, ultimately toward mandatory enrollment. So you'll see that there are different reserve requirements for what are the health care components of the plan and what are the HCBS and specialized IDD services. As we get to the attachments, if you've gotten this far, it is a lengthy document. I do want to encourage people to take a look at these because we hope these will be helpful in understanding some of the broader scope of the OPWDD transition to managed care. So in particular, I would draw your attention to the SIP-PL benefit package and covered services. That's where you really begin to see the types of services that will be available through the plan and how those are accessed. Also, Appendix K is valuable because that's where we outline the populations that are eligible to enroll in the different phases of enrollment. So to help folks review, I think it's important to understand that the review that's underway now is just one step in a process that will be going on for many years to come. It is an important step. So the document you're now reviewing, as we discussed, is a technical document for applicants that ultimately will become part of the contract requirement for these new plans. Once this is finalized, with your input, we will then publish the final application and start that process. The next period that will be open for public comment will be our policy document, which is sort of the next step that really describes not what a plan, how the plan is different, but what the plan needs to do. And I think will be an important document for public comment and people's involvement and engagement, and that will be happening in the first quarter of 2019. As we discussed previously, the comment period for the qualification document is being extended by 2 weeks. This will provide additional time for people who are having a challenge getting through this large technical document. People are welcome to submit comments to the email address identified here, peoplefirstwaiver@opwd.ny.gov. We will be accepting comments through October 17, 2018. We just wanted to point out to everyone that this is just one step in a multi-step process as we begin the development of the specialized IDD plan and the opportunities for managed care for people with IDD. In addition to this document and its release for public comment, there are also public forums that will be scheduled in the next month or 2 months to discuss managed care more generally, and these will include the opportunity to talk about how to support community living, personal control, employment, and the support for family caregivers through the managed care development process. Again, we would like to thank everyone for your comments, and we look forward to working with you for the development of the specialized IDD plans.